All right, everyone, welcome to Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. Today we'll be discussing the second game of our spin-off category. And today is Mega Man Legends. All right, Pete, why don't you give us your initial thoughts?
Feel like I said this a few times over the years on this podcast, with Donkey Kong 64, Twisted Metal Black, Madden, probably others as well. But if I were to make a list of my top 10 or top 20 games, Mega Man Legends would probably be on that list. So, I hadn't played it in so long, so I was glad to finally be able to play it after probably over 20 years. So I could confirm its greatness. And a lot of what I liked about it, or a lot of what I remember liking about it, kind of held up pretty well, I thought. You could do a lot. It's like an action RPG game with a lot of side quests and some mini games and things like that. You could build and, power up kind of, mechanism for that. So it's really cool. One thing I wonder, and I'll be interested to hear what you guys think as we talk through the game. But I wonder if a younger audience who doesn't necessarily remember what video games were like, 30 years ago, if they would appreciate this game as much as I know I do, and I think you guys might as well. So we'll see.
All right, Tom, what about you?
I kind of have similar initial thoughts. It's a game that I have a lot of fond memories of. Remember really liking it and just like wanting to replay it several times when we were younger. I did have concerns about how well it was going to hold up these days. Using kind of outdated controls and camera stuff like that. That's always kind of like a sore point for these earlier 3D games. I did not have, spoiler alert, I did not have much of a problem with those aspects of the game. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I did enjoy playing this again, and I am excited to discuss it further.
All right, and I'll just say, I remember playing it back in the day, and I was excited to play this again because it was such a big game for the brothers. I definitely felt the concern with the controls and camera, and it was a sore spot for me at points. But overall, it's a really cool game and a really cool spin-off take on the Mega Man series, in that it's kind of a completely different game, and but still had the Mega Man elements in there to harken back to classic Mega Man. So we'll get into it a little bit more during the episode. All right, Mega Man Legends was developed and published by Capcom and was released in North America for the PlayStation on September 10th, 1998. It was later ported to the Nintendo 64, releasing in North America on January 10th, 2001, for Windows on July 14th, 2001, and eventually made its way to the PSP in Japan only on August 4th, 2005. Brothers and Boss Battles, if you don't know, a video game showdown is our podcast here, where me, Anthony, and my brothers Pete and Tom discuss video games, new and old. We pick a genre or category of games, and each of us picks a game within that genre or category. And we talk about that game and the lore, controls, gameplay, music, sound, and effect on the gaming world. After those three games are discussed, we have our fourth episode in that category called our Bro Down episode, where we have a courtroom-style debate, each of us defending the game that we chose, and while attacking the other two, and ultimately declaring a winner. All right, so today we have Mega Man Legends, which is part of our spin-off category. Last week we talked about Pac-Man. We talked about Pac-Man World Repack, and we all know Pac-Man for its classic arcade game. But Pac-Man World Repack was a game in which there was Pac-Man was leveraged into a platformer. So here we have the classic side-scrolling platforming and shooting of Mega Man games from Nintendo and Super Nintendo turned into an 3D action adventure RPG type game. So, we have another, spin-off difference here, and one that we all really liked. And so it was exciting to play this again. Now, what did everyone play this on?
I played on the PS3, so before they closed down that shop there, I had bought Mega Man Legends and the sequel as well. So hopefully we get to play that at some point.
Yeah, I played on the PlayStation 1, or the first PlayStation.
So did I.
All
Which is
right.
what we had it for, right? We did not have it for N64.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I actually didn't know they had it for N6. I honestly just thought this was available on PlayStation. Just in researching for the episode, I saw that had been ported to N64.
I think it was called Mega Man 64,
It
wasn't it?
was. Yeah.
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 Because everything had to be 64 on
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
back
Nintendo
then.
64.
You guys both mentioned you liked this, and I mean I did too, but just kind of wanted to, do you have what brings back the fond memories of playing back in the day, the early 2000s or late 90s, whenever we got this?
I'll start. I'll say the world is something that I kind of really stuck with me. And as I was going through like the market and that main downtown area, I guess I call it, like that really felt very familiar to me, even though I hadn't played or watched videos of this game for a couple of decades.
Yeah, I kind of remember like it's just easier now to play. It's just like I feel like I'm able to pay attention more to what people say, like what an NPC character will say, like which will clue you into where to go. Whereas in the past, I might just be wandering around and then get frustrated. It's like you're supposed to go north and you went south, and I don't know. I just feel like a lot of that stuff went over my head when I was younger, and now it's a little bit more enjoyable because I kind of understand where to go.
I like the how they had side quests in the game.
Hmm.
Like I hadn't really played RPGs up until that point, like when I played Mega Man Legends for the first time. So that was kind of like a new concept for me and one that I have grown to enjoy a lot in games. And a lot
Yeah.
of them are just kind of like, you have to talk to people and, it's not like all obvious stuff where
Hmm.
like they have on a map, like talk to this person now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was
Yeah,
one where you had to bring all the artifacts to the museum, and
Yeah, that one's cool.
yeah, that's cool. If you
And there's
even could get the museum open in the first
exactly,
place.
exactly.
just
That's a
for
little mini mission in itself just to get
yeah,
it opened.
let's just give our spoiler warning here because there's interesting story elements, and then just even just the world and the gameplay can be interesting to discover on your own. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear specifics about this game, go and play it and then come back and listen. Um,
Yeah, we won't talk about it now, but there's a pretty big twist at the end of the game.
yeah, one that I was well, I'll just mention now. I got to, but did not beat the final boss. And we'll get into why that may have been. I do intend to beat it and do some of the side quests as well. But I do know how it ends and seen the ending and all of that. So I'm still equipped to talk about it.
Get
Yeah,
equipped.
going back to your question, another thing I remember is kicking the can into the bakery and getting Zenny.
That's what it was. I was trying to kick it into the garbage can. That wasn't
Uh,
working.
So Zenny is the in-game currency for those that don't know.
So I only half remembered that.
hmm.
Yeah, so it's sort of one of those stories where it seems simple and then expands into a bigger thing. So just briefly, the world is now sort of covered mostly by water. Well, I mean it already is, but in the but in this Mega Man world, it's even more so. And there's, I guess, some sort of energy crisis. So a lot of people have become diggers, and Mega Man and his crew with Roll and Barrel, which is Roll's grandpa, and Data, which is like this sort of uh,
Helper
machine-like
monkey.
helper, yeah, basically monkey robot.
Yeah.
They are, I guess, part of this digging crew, and uh, they do this to they dig for refractor shards um, for energy, and so they're in their vehicle, the Flutter, flying around, and they crash on this island, Cadillac's Island, and it just so happens that these pirates, the Bond family, are set to attack the island to basically steal the energy from it or whatever. I mean, so that's like sort of the setup, and
Yeah,
then
I think I think they want to like take the refractor shards and sell them, basically.
right, I guess because yeah,
It's not like they're like evil in the sense that they want to like deprive the world of energy. You know, like it's not
they're
like
just
a
they're just
Thanos kind of
greedy.
thing.
They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
greedy. But it's yeah, it was without knowing all of the Cadillac's Island regulations on energy use, it's sort of difficult to know how, what are they doing that's wrong, because similarly Mega Man and his crew are also mining. But anyway, so these pirates, the Bonds, are attacking basically at the same time that Mega Man crashes on the island. So then hijinks ensues. Um, and Mega Man gets involved with protecting the city and the towns within the island. Um, so that it sounds sort of basic, and then it kind of gets a little bit bigger, and we might get into that a little bit later. But it's cool because it's not all fighting. It has definitely RPG elements where you're talking to people, you are enhancing your abilities, paying for them, or doing finding them in the mine. So it's got a lot of cool elements.
I thought one of the coolest aspects of the game was customizing your Buster arm.
Hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so
So
you have your regular like shooting arm, but then Tom, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so that's the part that I'm talking about, where you can basically customize it with different stats that you want to prioritize. So it has things like, strength. I think they call that one attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just basically just the damage it deals. They have things like, how fast you shoot and how long you can shoot without having to like pause. And
So
then
I have a
And then
there's
question.
and
range.
the range was the other one,
Range,
yeah.
yeah. I have a question. What was energy for your regular Buster arm then? Because
Yeah,
energy
that
for
was the
your
one where
special ones was like it gave you more without depleting it.
right.
But but your regular Mega Buster arm didn't deplete. So what did energy do?
I believe it was the ability to continuously shoot without
Oh,
having to stop.
gotcha.
That's right. Yeah.
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 Which I found very useful.
Yeah. I had that maxed out at the end.
Yeah. I did too, actually. Yeah, so it's cool because it creates, part of the main stuff that you do is mining for these refractor shards, but like they also include your weapons upgrades, like in various chests or area in the mine. So like that's kind of a cool uh little tie-in, I feel.
Yeah, I mean that was really cool. I guess some upgrades you don't find, right? But you maybe find different parts or components that you could give to Roll, and then she
Mhm.
creates, I,
Yeah, your
upgrades or
your
whatever.
arm, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you had your Buster arm, but you also had your specialty arm,
right.
which was
And
cool.
this
The
and that
specialty
arm,
arm.
I didn't really use that much. The special arm
See, I
or
used it a
special attack.
lot. I had mentioned to you guys I was using, I think it was called I'm blanking on the name now.
What did it do?
It's the homing missile one.
Was that the active Buster?
Yes, the active buster. So I had that, and when I got that, it was other than the last boss, obviously, it was very useful. Like it would take down those big like dog-like robots, and those big ones with the shells that would shoot out a bunch of stuff. So like it was really useful once I got that, and I what you can do is upgrade with money the stats for that specialty arm, which I did as well, which I think again served me very well until the last boss.
Yeah, I also didn't find myself using those special weapons that much. Except there was one key point where it actually helped me out a lot.
Do
Ooh,
tell.
Okay, so that was in the was one of the later boss battles. It was when you're aboard the Flutter, and you have to fight basically three phases of the bonds.
Oh, that was tough. That last phase was really,
Yeah, the one against Tron
yeah.
is the final phase, and there's a
Hmm.
part where like she flies overhead, like directly overhead,
Yeah.
and so that at that point I had the active
Mm.
Buster too, and I was just like, when she was flying, I was just like spamming the button
Yeah.
to shoot off as many of them as possible. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was because that took me a few tries to beat that entire sequence,
Hmm.
and yeah, that ended up being the key to allowing me to finally beat that part.
That's interesting. I don't even know if I ever got the active buster. I know I
Really.
never used it.
I honestly don't know how I would have beaten that boss without the active buster because and at one point for like a prior boss, I was like shooting the active buster like slowly. And then I realized that if you just spam it, like you said, it shoots a bunch out. So I used that for that last form, for Tron Iban in that game in that sequence. And there was one where I got like half her energy down in one series, like one
Oh wow.
flyover. So
Nice.
it was really good then.
Yeah.
But that was a tough. Honestly, the tough battles in this game are the boss battles, or what can
Yay!
be like considered the boss battles,
Yay!
and that really was a lot of the fights in this game. It was just like a series of boss battles that
Yay!
went along with the story. There wasn't like your regular enemies in a stage kind of a thing, and
There were
They
when
did
you're
have
yeah,
them. I mean,
yeah, but it just wasn't as
fun. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't as fun.
yeah,
As
But like
challenging.
yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
as threatening, really.
Yeah.
But the boss, I don't think I beat one boss on the first try in this whole game.
Yeah. I had a similar experience, maybe the first one or two
No,
I did,
yeah,
but it usually took me at least a couple of tries. Yeah.
it is really cool though. Like at the beginning, like one of the first boss sequences is when they're destroying the town, and you have to beat like those various like overhead bombers and stuff like that. And like that was tough. Like I don't think I got killed in that section, but if you let enough of the city get destroyed, you lose basically and have to start over. So
Right.
I mean that I think that happened, but it's just I don't know. That was like a cool. It was just a cool sequence that it wasn't just like you on at a boss one on one that you got to the end of the level and now you're fighting a boss. It was like the way it was incorporated into the story and just I don't know. I thought that was really cool and that being one of the earlier bosses was a good setup for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Even one of the first bosses was when the three server bots are in the like three separate vehicles, and one
Oh,
of
and
them
then
has a key, and you have to.
yeah,
I mean, that's like interesting and kind of unique.
yeah.
If
What I liked about that too, which I thought was fun, because I feel like an older game would have just made you kill all three. But
yeah,
if you find the one with the key and kill it, and they like toss it to each other and stuff,
yeah,
you would end the sequence then and win. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was. And another thing I like about that is they each had like different speeds and armor.
Yeah,
yeah,
one
different
was
stats.
fast, one
Yeah,
was the
different
fastest,
stats.
one was the tankiest, and like
Right.
one was had the
That was
most
kind of cool.
attack or something. Yeah, yeah, and that was all early on. So
Yeah.
I
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, no. I think maybe what added to the interest or whatever in those boss battles was that they happened above ground, like in the town.
Yeah,
So it wasn't like you were just always fighting underground and then always just kind of roaming around and talking to people above ground. So that was kind of cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you even have a boss battle that takes place on the sea, and then one that takes place in the air. That's the
yeah,
one that we talked about before.
right.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention was how some boss battles are more traditional where you can't lose your health, but those ones that you're talking about is kind of like your vehicle, like the flutter or something,
Yeah,
was the one being damaged.
Yeah,
well,
And kind of like how you mentioned with the town,
yeah, yeah.
like
So like it's true. Like the one Tom and I were talking about with the final form was Tron. Like they're also attacking your ship too. So
I
yeah,
died, or I lost that fight every time was because the flutter got destroyed, not because I
yeah,
was
yeah,
dying.
yeah. There are some like there are points in this game where you're gonna get hit. Like there's no way to
Yeah.
avoid it. Like and those boss battles are sort of like that. And I didn't really spend time upgrading my energy health. I think that might have been a mistake and led to
That was probably a mistake.
yeah,
But
down.
like like we're saying, it stuff like that doesn't even help if your flutter is getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So it's and that's cool because that's kind of like a skill check, It's like
Hmm.
you can't just grind and buy your way to
Yeah.
victory in those fights. I mean, you can to some extent if you upgrade your weapons, but
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's something we're talking about and follows this conversation as well. It the game wasn't super duper complex, but it really did allow different strategies and basically what you were going to invest your zenny in. So like, and you seem to upgrade your special
Hmm.
weapons more. I did a lot of the health and the armor, at the shops. I made sure I bought all those.
yeah, I
So that's
prioritized
cool.
those as well.
That's cool. But then, as we're just saying, your armor and health didn't really help you too much in those battles where
Hmm.
your flutter was being attacked. So
Yeah. Yeah, you still need a good attack. Like you really had to be smart about what you upgraded, which is cool. It really was good. I mean, it was frustrating and like it was tough at times, but I do feel it was a fair tough.
Yeah, there's a few fights that kind of reminded me of like more modern games like Dark Souls or any of those Soulsborne games, where it's like the first time you fight a boss, you have, it's tough and you have to like learn the fight, and then like you keep fighting them and you learn the fight and then you know what to do, and it still can be difficult to execute at times. Um, but you keep fighting and you get better each time, and then eventually you beat it.
Yeah. I think part, just to go to a negative for a bit, I think part of what made it um challenging though, the controls and the cameras are really tough in this game. This is like to me a perfect candidate for a remake. Like literally, but don't add, you know,
Yeah, auto
ch
saves.
yeah, I was gonna say checkpoints every 2 seconds,
Yeah,
and don't change the story at all. Just upgrade the graphics, of course. But like, you so just to explain, there actually was two ways you can move your because it was 3D, you move your perspective. Like one, which I wound up using, was using the R1 and R2 buttons.
I
Those
use that a
actually
ton.
that made you go right and left.
it was
You
R1
could
and
also
L1, right?
what's that?
R1 and L1, right?
That's what I said.
No,
You said
yeah,
R1 and R2.
Oh, sorry, R1 and L1. Um, which is weird to move your head using the shoulder buttons. Um, but the other one was that you could use the D-pad, but it was almost like tank controls, but not really. Like if you would push up, you'd go forward, and if you turn right, you would turn your head right. So it was very
How's
difficult.
that?
I,
How's that
No, that's
even
what I mean.
work with
Yeah,
like
it was
with
it
your
was
hand? I mean,
yeah,
it's like do you have
yeah,
two
you'd
left
have
hands or something?
no, it was just so weird. So I tried that because I was like, this L1R1 thing is really annoying me. And then I was like, oh man, get me back to the L1R1 after I
Yeah.
tried the deep. So those are the only way you can really control in that game. So that's just
so
really like I don't know. I don't think I've ever played a game where the shoulder buttons control your head movement.
yeah, you spin around with L. Or, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. It's pretty uncommon. But one thing I'll say about this is that with that I didn't like. It almost felt like you had to like there was a lag, but it wasn't just like an input lag. It kind of like you would hold L1 and it would kind of like
Yeah. I
Crank
noticed
it
take,
that.
up,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ernest.
Like it took a second to like
Yeah.
crank up and get going,
Yeah.
which
And
was
the other
weird.
the other
Yeah.
thing that was annoying. So R2 was the lock on button, which is very important in a 3D game of where you're shooting at in 1998. But it didn't always work great. Like and
Yeah.
that battle against Tron Bon, it didn't work at all. And I was just kind of shooting off the active buster, the active arm thing, and luckily that has a homing.
Yeah, that one didn't really. Yeah,
It,
you're right. The
yeah.
lock-on didn't really work on that. So,
It was I was
but
like I need it more than ever now because it's constantly moving and it so like
but
that
you
was
can,
annoying.
there was a way where you can not lock on, but like I guess if you hold it, then you just kind of like yeah, it's like you're looking up in the air, right?
It wouldn't
It's
turn towards her. It wouldn't turn.
not automatically, but
Yeah,
you were able to control the camera without moving Mega Man, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
that
that's
was
what you
really
gotta
tough.
do.
So you're holding R2 and then pressing L1 and R1. I mean, it was just like really tough. I don't know. I mean, like the lock-on component, I think, is very important in this game, and in a lot of times it did work, but there were times where it didn't, and it was just bad.
So let me ask you guys this, because I was using the lock on like basically exclusively, but it was almost like too much of a crutch. And actually, there were a, a lot of times I think when it was beneficial to not use that. So you could kind of run and
Yeah, yeah,
shoot,
yeah.
run and gun at the same time.
I
Yeah.
noticed that against those dog robots a lot.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
they were
Yeah,
tough. Yeah.
But yeah, like you can't stop. You just have to keep running and shooting.
shooting. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't stop at all.
and that's pretty much the point when I kind of discovered that
Yeah,
I shouldn't be using the lock on as much as I
yeah, it's
was.
right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the active arm was very important for those dogs for me because you just spam those and it killed them. It was still tough because they jumped around, they were fast, and then they had that fire breathing move that was like took up half the screen. So it was just and it took up half your energy if you got hit by it. So they were really tough regular enemies. But other than that, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. This is a perfect candidate for a remake because it's a great. I mean, it's a very good game, but the controls really, you know, kind of create this artificial toughness as opposed to it, being tough for other reasons.
I,
Yeah. So
I would just say, I think it just takes some getting used to. Like, I really didn't find myself hating the camera or controls, like after the first hour of playing, maybe.
me neither. And like going into this replay, that's one thing that I kind of had read about and heard about that the controls were not so great.
Hmm.
So I was kind of expecting something worse than what we got. Like I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't a major problem. It didn't really hinder my fun at all.
Yeah, same.
But I also agree with you, man, that this would be a great candidate for a remake.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's better than 3D platformers that we played and that exist. I think because even though the shooting
Mm,
was
I
sometimes
don't know
tough,
about. Oh,
but
you mean the controls? You
the
mean?
controls, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think controlling a platformer with the like bad controls is tougher than doing this. But I mean, look,
Yeah, it requires more precise controls, probably a
yeah, I
platformer.
mean
So
the shooting, it wasn't like it was tough at times, but you are in a lot of spaces that are just like corridors in a lot of instances where you're not necessarily shooting all around you, but that's why it was so tough when there were instances where you really had an open space and were shooting a lot.
yeah, but since you mentioned the corridors, we're kind of talking about camera. I never really felt like I was like kind of stuck behind, like on a wall, and like I could only see like the wall. Like in those older games where that
Yeah,
would
Yeah,
yeah.
happen.
yeah,
Like that
yeah.
never really happened to me. That I don't recall.
Hmm.
Yeah, there were some annoying parts where I would be shooting like close to a corner and use the lock on, and it would like shoot the corner instead of shooting past the corner where the enemy was. So like, but other than that, yeah, it really wasn't.
Yeah, there were times where the lock-on would change the targets kind of
Yeah,
randomly or wildly too, which was a little bit annoying.
yeah. We were speaking about that airborne boss fight, and at the first part of that,
Yeah.
there's each of those. There's like five or six of those things. So if you have the lock on there, like I eventually use the active arm thing, the homing missiles, and it like you shoot three or four in a row, and it'll kill them before they could start breaking away. But if they start breaking away and you're holding down the lock on, it's like shooting into the bottom of your ship because it went
Yeah.
under your ship, and then it's like you go to shoot and it's shooting one that like's behind you, and it's yeah. So. But no, I mean, overall, it didn't kill the game to me, but it's certainly something.
Something you noticed. Did you guys do any of the side missions, side quests?
I
Not
did
yet.
some.
Uh, yeah, I'll just say quickly. There were ones where like you'll find random things and you could give them to roll. So like I did those. Like
Okay, I think I found one of those items.
yeah,
I like
the
the
rose, I think.
flower. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the flower. Yeah.
I think there's three items I want to say, and I don't think you really get anything from doing that one. Like a lot of the
Hmm.
side quests, you end up getting stuff. like useful things. Another thing I did that doesn't get you anything is you kind of like adopt a cat.
Oh yeah, Tom, you were gonna say something about the side quest.
Yeah, no, just I did some. So there was the one where so for this you have to repair I guess the hospital or whatever, doctor's office. But so there's like a patient in there that you can I guess donate medical machines to, and then they're able to basically cure her.
Ah, how do you get the medical machines?
I think you just make another donation at the city hall.
Oh, right.
Was the
Yeah.
hospital? I don't think that was a building that you had to repair, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think it was actually.
No, it's
It was the
police
police off,
station,
yeah,
the bank, and city hall.
and then like the downtown
Yeah,
or
Houses, right?
houses,
how
yes,
right.
something like that. Yeah, I did end up doing all of that, but by the time I beat the game, it was still like under construction. One of the last area, so like I didn't like fully see the
Rebuilt
conclusion to
city.
that. Yeah,
I didn't make any donations.
Cheapskate.
I thought it was fun. I was too busy buying energies. Well, no, health. I mean,
Yeah, that's why I couldn't beat the game. I was donating to this
yeah.
destroyed city, and you just spent it on your energies.
Well, I was saving the city in
It
another
was
way.
funny how it's like, look, man, you solely put your life on the line for this to save our city. Can you donate some money?
Yeah. I like how like the option is like, oh yeah, that's a lot of money or something. If you can't, like, if you're gonna not donate it. And also on this topic, don't you have to like earn your digger's license, like your license to dig?
yeah,
Which again, it's like silly. Like you need that to save this town or the
Yeah.
island or whatever. It's like I think I forget how you earn it. Was it when you defeated those bosses that were attacking City Hall or something?
I think that was it.
And then it's like you jump from like A or like a C class to like a A. I don't know. Some little silly things like that.
All right, we'll talk more Mega Man Legends when we come back. All right, for this week's mid-episode filler portion, we will be giving our answers to last week's Would You Rather question. As you may remember, we discussed Pac-Man World Repack last episode, and in that mid-episode filler Would You Rather question, we asked what classic game would you most like to play? And we gave 3 options, and those 3 options were Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, and Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man. So, what do you guys say? Someone want to go first?
I'll go, and I'm gonna go with Donkey Kong. You know, it's funny. 2 of these games were actually featured as kind of like mini games in main games that we covered in the podcast. Donkey Kong being, the machine that you can play in Donkey Kong 64 to earn a couple of gold bananas and whatnot. Anyway, I don't know. I like Donkey Kong the best.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna go with the game that wasn't playable in any of the games we've played, at least none so far, and choose Space Invaders. I kind of think that's the most fun I have, even though it doesn't have an iconic character per se, like Pac-Man or Donkey Kong. To me, it's just the most fun, most like possible to get far into the game too, I think. And so I would presented with the 3, I would choose that. Pete?
And I also agree with one of you. Space Invaders would be my choice. Kind of for the simple reason that you're saying, and I probably have the most fun playing it. I do remember when I used to go to Dave & Buster's on occasion, they had like a Space Invader game on like this giant screen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was always a good time.
Yeah. And a bit different than the actual Space Invaders, but
Yeah.
All right, well, there you have it. There are our answers to last week's mid-episode filler Would You Rather question. Make sure to, as Peter sips his milk, make sure to check us out on Instagram, X, Twitch, and YouTube at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. and our website, brothersandbossbattles.com. Drop us a line and keep tuned there for new questions that we may ask the audience. All right, everyone, back to the regular episode.
By the way, it's not milk, it's a camel spit milkshake.
Milk spit camel shit. All right, let's get back. All right, we're talking Mega Man Legends, and I think there's still more to talk about.
There is. And one thing I really liked and I wanted to bring up is again, the subgates, the underground portions. Every time I went to a new one, it really felt daunting, like
Yes.
it was gonna be confusing, but it ended up not being. Like I feel like
Yeah.
if you spend a minimal amount of time, you kinda manage, like find your way fairly easily. And there's a lot of branching paths and doors you could go in, and everything kind of looks the same because it's all like underground. But I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
I don't know really how they did it, but I thought it was a great job of making it feel confusing and big and whatever. But like I said, I was never really felt lost.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree that the bark was worse than the bite, but there were times where like I beat a level and I was like, okay, I'm putting this away for tonight because, I'm gonna have to go to sleep and I don't think I'm gonna be able to figure this out.
Meaning, like if you kind of were at the point where you're gonna go to a new subgate or something, you didn't.
Yeah. I was like,
Pers
I'm just gonna pause, save it here. Go to
Yeah, well,
date.
that's a
Go.
fair point.
No, no, I mean to save it and just like stop because I was like, is this subgate gonna take me 4 hours to complete kind of a thing?
No,
Yeah, I never really felt that way.
no,
It
come
did
on.
have a fair amount of well, I don't want to say backtracking, but like you can revisit previous ones that you cleared once you got new abilities. One that comes to mind is those jumping shoes that make you jump higher. Like that kind of
Oh
unlock
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
the earlier like portions of the earlier what are they called? Not subgates, whatever the digging locations.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're not called subgates.
I thought the
No, that was
subgates were
the
just those
end.
at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the jump springs shoes, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
You
Yeah,
know,
or
and that and the
the
drill,
drill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
another thing that you get later on that can make you go back to the other levels to open up stuff. So yeah, I mean that's all cool.
Well, they just called like the ruins, ancient ruins, or
maybe
no?
ruins. Yeah,
Anyway. Well, and so one thing you mentioned about going to sleep because you thought it was going to take 4 hours. One thing you mentioned that I wanted to emphasize here because you mentioned it earlier in the episode when you were talking about making a remake and you know sarcastically or whatever said don't have checkpoints every few
Yeah.
seconds. But you can save in this game pretty much whenever you want. As long as you have access to
Data.
roll and data.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that because there were a lot of times where it doesn't seem like you can save. Like you'll go through a whole rune or underground thing, whatever we're gonna call it, and get to like right before the boss, and it's like, okay, well, data and roll aren't here, so I guess I can't save. But then I kind of realized it's just backtrack the entire mine or, rune again and go back up to the ground to the earth level
Surface, yeah.
surface, go to them because they're always available on the surface. So like go back to the surface and then go through the mine again, and then most of the stuff will be beaten already, and then just get to the boss. So because
Yeah,
there was a
right.
lot
Everything
of
was
time.
collected.
Yeah, everything was collected because there was a lot of times where you'd go through a whole mine, get to the boss, die, you'd have to do the whole thing over again, and then it was just like
Yeah.
the little bit of backtracking to get to the save point was worth it because
Yeah.
if people play this game, I mean, like I said, I died at least once on every boss. So I mean, there was a lot of like my save time is nowhere near the amount of time I spent playing this game.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, exactly. You could backtrack and kind of to my point that I was just making a few minutes ago. At least for me, and I'm usually not so great at this in games, but for me, I learned the map underground very quickly, so it wasn't really cumbersome for me to kind of backtrack, go up, save, and then go back down and get to the end, the boss or whatever it is.
Yeah, I did find some of the levels a little bit maze like.
Confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was that one towards the end where it had like an inner circle and then an outer circle. I think it was one of them where like it's connected to the flutter. So if you go up when you go up into the elevator, you're in the flutter, and then you go down, you're in the mine. So it's I think it was the main gate actually, main gate.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So that one I felt was a little bit confusing, but
Maybe. I mean, that was
yeah,
the last one, right? So
yeah, yeah.
I didn't feel that any of them were like that large.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's what Pete. I think that goes to Pete's point. It's like they looked worse than they were, and I think they were not that bad because they weren't big.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you did get turned around, you kind of just if you went in a big circle, it didn't take that long to go in that big circle, and then you would eventually realize you had to break off or go to a different route or whatever it was. Such a major part of this game was the bosses. So kind of wanted to get your thoughts. I mean, we talked about Tron and one of them, but like any other standout bosses, either because they were hard and frustrating or they were fun, or what do you guys think? Let's exclude the big boss for now.
Yeah.
I thought the one that was the lamest was when you're in the construction yard. You have to kind of jump on
Oh,
like the back and
yes,
then
that was tough though.
That was one of the hardest fights for
Yeah.
me. It was
really.
I hadn't bought any upgrades at that point, so maybe that was why it was harder for me. But yeah, it was just like I don't know, it was just like more annoying than anything else. Like you have to wait for the hatch to open, and then he's like shooting these green balls that
Those are that home you basically.
yeah, like that took
Like,
really like unpredictable routes
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, it was very
Yeah.
annoying.
Well, exactly. No, that's how I felt. It was more annoying than anything. So
Yeah,
that kind of stood out to me in a negative way.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was tough. And then even just sometimes, that's where some of the like jumping was tough because I feel like I would jump onto the back, but you wouldn't, and you'd end up on the side of it and get hit. And yeah, I didn't like that boss
I
system.
never actually jumped on the back. I just shot it from the
Oh, the
cliff
big,
that
yeah, but that was tough because like you had to position yourself. There wasn't every cliff was a good shot. So
yeah, there was
Yeah, and then
just
you needed your range to be
yeah,
fairly high, I feel.
I think
Well,
that
no, you
was
said you didn't upgrade.
yeah, no,
Oh, interesting.
because
Because I also jumped
when
on the
you're
back.
when you're on that particular cliff, you know, the enemy robot just kind of like stays there. It doesn't walk around anymore.
For like a short time, right? Or no?
Well, so did you like shoot out the tires?
I think you have
Yeah.
to. You have to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Like it just kind of like stood there and kept trying to shoot me with the green
Oh,
laser
Hmm.
really?
balls.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah,
glitch.
maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I like you, and I like jumped on the back and hit him from there.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was
do you
tough
have to
though.
jump off like after the hatch closes?
Yeah,
Because
because he'll smack you off with his arm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you can't just stay there and
Well,
cheat.
yeah, that's what I did try that on my first attempt, and it didn't. And you know, he knocked me off after, so I was like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be on its back,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm just supposed to shoot it from afar.
yeah. It would just be too easy. You could be on his back, but when he stops, like just when the hatch opens, so it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the the one that gave me trouble at first was that yellow security measure robot after you get one of the big refractors underground. So that one is just basically when you get the refractor, it's like it again a security mechanism to try to stop you from taking it. And he's like this huge yellow robot, and he does this belly flop dive onto you. And I thought it was pretty hard to avoid, and it also does sort of this jump and shockwave attack. And it's weird. I struggled on that boss so many times, and then when I beat him, it was just like, oh, that wasn't bad. And I think the problem was that I was relying too much, as Pete mentioned, on another boss, on the lock on with him because you have to really jump around a lot, and you're never really facing him. So with the lock on. So you just had to get in a position where you were facing him, and then he was also so tall, so you had to jump and shoot, and that would wind up working. You really didn't need the lock on as much there, but I just used the regular Mega Buster at that point, and it was very hard until it wasn't.
Yeah, I was going to bring up this one next too, and I think I had the exact same experience where I was probably using the lock on too much, and
Yeah.
it caused me a lot of difficulty. So this was the boss actually where I ended up backtracking, saving, and kind of doing some grinding to get some more money to purchase more armor and things like that. So this was the one that gave me the hardest time. I think it was in the Lake June subgate.
I think the easiest boss in the game for me was that yellow robot that shoots like the looks like a kazoo for a tongue or like a
Bon
part.
Bon.
Yeah, it's the Bond's youngest brother.
I think
Um,
I died against him once. He came
well, I
after
I think
the
I did too, but that was the best for me. Was just dying once.
Yeah, that was right after the destroying the city.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was it was sort of a long sequence of battles, but I didn't find him too hard. His moves are pretty predictable. The missiles were a little hard to dodge, but I found like running underneath him was a good way to dodge those.
One thing that was kind of annoying was sometimes you would get hit and get knocked over, and then the camera would kind of like face a weird direction, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like it wouldn't like the camera would change for some reason when you got knocked down.
Yeah. The other thing I
That's
didn't
true.
like was, and it happened with missile attacks, and I kind of remember this. I just mentioned in that battle against the yellow robot, and then even in that battle against Tron Bonne when she's in that like Power Ranger looking Falcon thing robot. But it those missiles sometimes they would hit you once and you'd kind of be like that, game situation where it's like you get hit so you're invincible for a little bit. And then other times it would just like almost like combo you in the sky. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
got hit in the sky, it would like hit you once, twice, three times, and then 75% of your energy was done at that point. It was just very random and annoying.
Yeah, maybe it had to do with something like the angle in which you got hit, if you
Yeah.
just got like staggered or knocked down. But yeah, yeah, I did notice that too, where the amount of damage you took from an attack seemed inconsistent at times.
I had a question. The Reaver bots were sort of like the regular bad guys that weren't really bosses. Were they like used by the bonds to try to mine underground areas? Were they the Bonzes or were they just sort of like these random
I
robots
don't
doing
think they
stuff?
were the Bonzes. I
Oh.
think they were just kind of like inhabitants of the ruins and
Hmm.
whatnot.
That's my understanding as well, yeah.
What
I want to
okay.
say one last thing about the boss battles.
Yay!
Just in general, like there's a ton of them. We're talking about kind of the bit of variety that was present in the different boss battles.
Yay!
Some of them were memorable, but I didn't find any of them like particularly fun. Like they weren't bad by any means, but I don't think the boss battles is what makes me really love this game.
Yeah.
And there was even though that's a big part of the game.
Yeah. I think it's just the whole story and lore. It's like you have this familiar character and everything, but it's sort of in a deeper setting. Um I kind of enjoyed and didn't think it was that tough for a late game boss was the fight against Bruno. I didn't think he was too bad, to be honest. Because he also had that green ball homing thing, but it actually acted more predictably than with
Yeah,
the prior
there was
boss, so it was a little
there
bit
there was
easier.
more cover in that fight
Yeah, well
too.
that too. Yeah.
I found the final boss to be fun. Like that was legitimately fun fight for me.
It was tough. But
Yeah, maybe that was the most unique, I feel, of all
yeah.
the bosses.
I found so it's interesting since we're talking about Mega Man Juno, which is the last boss of the game. And again, spoiler warnings, but the game took a really dark turn when you have like this like cartoony music and everything in a lot of the levels and just cartoony look, and then you face this Mega Man Juno, and he's kind of talking about destroying the whole island.
Yeah, it was it was that's like I feel like a very common like RPG element where it just starts off,
Yeah,
very simply, and then you end up having to save the world.
yeah. It's like music. It's like you're in a little town and they're playing the lute, and it's just sort of like nice and peaceful, and then oh yeah, the world's gonna get destroyed. But why like it's interesting because then they imply that Mega Man Volnut,
That's our hero, yeah.
that's he like doesn't have his memory and he's why is he really there and why did Juno like kind of see him as a threat and all of that. So I forget if that's explored in Mega Man Legends 2, but it really sets up a mystery to be solved.
Sounds like we're gonna have to play Mega Man Legends 2.
Ooh, maybe a sequels category.
So I didn't put it together, but is that why they made Mega Man like unable to read? Because like
Oh, they did make
he,
him stutter a lot. So we should talk about like they did have voice acting in this game, and I thought it
Yeah,
was
I
yeah,
pretty
did want
good.
to play that. I didn't think
You
it
didn't
was
think it was
good.
good? Unless that was, yeah, I mean, they made him sort of like, yeah, like,
To me, it's gonna be like a obscure reference for people probably, but to me, Mega Man sounded like the kid from The Year Without a Santa Claus.
wow,
oh,
Ignatius
Ignatius,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
he did sound like him. Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah,
And a lot of the female characters sounded exactly the same to me. Tronbon and Roll sounded like very similar. And then even some of the server bots, like the more high pitched ones,
yeah.
like I feel like it was the same actress playing all several characters.
yeah, Ignatius this whistle. Oh no, Thistlewhite. Ignatius Thistlewhite was, um, so anyway,
But it was cool that it was actually voiced.
I didn't feel the acting was bad. So maybe there could have been more variety as far as the voices were concerned. I don't know. I just didn't. I feel there's more like later games that had worse voice acting than this game. Everyone kind of sounds very kiddish and stuff. So I mean, other than like the older characters, but and it was really only the main characters that had voice acting. Right, the NPCs didn't have voice acting; they just had the text boxes. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some like the mayor was voiced,
Right, right. But
and
yeah,
like I guess the police chief, I think he was too.
uh, yeah,
And the grandpa was right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Barrel. And it's funny. You know what was funny? So Data doesn't talk the whole game, but then at the end talks. And I thought it was, it's funny to your point. I thought it was Roll talking through Data.
yeah. Like a
And,
lot of the
I was like,
the higher pitched voices really
yeah,
sounded the same.
yeah.
Well,
So,
so I'm just searching it, and there were different actresses for
mm,
Roll and Tron.
mm.
Do they have data?
Data is the same person as Bon Bon. It
Oh,
looked like.
oh, wow.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's it. I thought the sound was good. I thought the music was good, was cool too. Like in the overground, they had like the nice music. I remember, like, I have in my head the do 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 do
Oh
do
yeah, yeah, yeah,
do. That's really catchy. And then the underground, it was very ominous, like much more ominous. Still in that late '90s sort of recording. It wasn't like it still sounded video game-ish, but like also not like MIDI, but
yeah,
not big orchestral either. But it was just like a good, good for the times.
Yeah,
And good within the game. Like, and it sounded clear and all of that, and it was placed nicely. So, and even some of the battles, like then it got faster and stuff like that. So it had good segments for each type of situation you were in.
yeah. I mean, I just really like that tune that you were just
Yeah.
humming.
The And the one thing I will say about the graphics, like we don't have to really get into it much, but there was, I don't know if you remember, but underground there was like those rooms where you'd see like that green thing that was leading up, and like that was the way like out of a level, and apparently that was supposed to represent a ladder, and it did not it didn't look like a ladder to me at all, and I was always very confused by that, but that is a ladder. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, I never
the ladders.
I never I
yeah,
never put two and two. I thought that was like a door, but I never really thought about it that okay, but you're underground. So if that's a door, how is it leading like
Yeah,
outside? But
uh, I agree with you. It's not a great representation of a
yeah.
ladder.
So I just had to throw that in because I always thought that about that part and never really knew it was a ladder till I like saw it said somewhere that it was a ladder.
I feel like a lot of the NPCs looked the same.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, they could
Just fine.
have varied it up a little bit maybe,
Yeah.
but not a huge deal.
yeah. I mean like for a game of this age, I can't really expect too much. Like yeah, the town or the island or whatever is relatively sparsely populated, but they just couldn't have that many people on the screen. I think.
Yeah, and it's only so much
Yeah.
useful dialogue you can get.
Oh yeah. I just mean like people walking around. Like I feel like if
Sure.
you're in a modern game, they'd have, many more people just, loitering about.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's cool. I just think it's so cool. They set up a little town. You have the news station and that you can play those mini games on and then
Oh yeah, the TV station,
yeah,
right?
the TV station, yeah. Like and
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if you guys played the mini games. I did. I tried all of them. I didn't get.
Me too.
I couldn't beat the final, what difficulty, whatever you call it, for each game
I played the one where you have to kick the ball onto
into
the
the dog.
cardboard dog, um, and the one where you had to pop the balloons. I didn't play the racing one. Or like
I played all of them. I didn't get to the last. I wasn't really trying to get to the
yeah
because I knew the last one was
Hmm.
going to be impossible for
yeah
each, so I was just
yeah.
like, I'm not
Yeah.
even going to bother.
They always
Um,
are in these games.
is it just like is the reward for the final one just a lot of Zenny?
I think it's just Zenny as all the awards. I don't think it's anything else.
Yeah, I thought maybe the final one they would do something else, but
I thought you could get it an item, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I never beat the final version of each or any of the games. No, you do get an item.
Oh, you do, yeah. So you get a Zet Saber for beating the Hunter game, a Mystic Orb for beating the Balloon Fantasy game, and
mm,
oh, there's
Music.
there's three different courses of the race. So you could get a music box for the straight course, the Omni unit for the left curve course, and the giant horn for the technical course.
Yeah,
that's that's kind of cool.
there
Gives
are a
things some.
ton of there are a ton of items that you could get, and
Yeah, I'm gonna.
to build parts and donate to the museum, and that gives
Mhm.
you other items to
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm kind of
use.
interested. I think what I'm gonna do is use a guide so it goes somewhat quickly, but and just to find them easily, but do these side quests, and then hopefully get enough upgrade to beat the boss. Like this, I wish there were trophies here. I wish this was modern. So like, but it's just such a good game that I feel like I want to do that and just play it through to the end. I'm not sure if I ever beat this as a kid because I never remember facing this Mega Man Juno. So I doubt I beat this game ever. I don't know. I don't know if you guys remember beating it or definitively not beating it in the past.
I'm almost 95 to 100% certain that I beat it.
Yeah, so I don't explicitly remember beating it, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I did.
you
Hmm.
say 95 to 100%.
I would say that. No, I would say 96 to 100%.
95 to 99%.
Then you're saying how they built the town and they have like the police station that gives you some side missions. I think you have to like find bombs or something
Hmm.
in the
Oh yeah, I
town.
did that one.
Oh, you did that one, yeah. So it's really cool, you know.
Yeah.
And like you may play this, especially if it's the first time, and not even.
Wait. It sounds like you might be giving a final thought. Are you giving a final thought?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying you may play this game and not even recognize that these side quests are there or that you're skipping over a side quest.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of discovery and exploration to do.
Hmm. And it's again like with the underground part, it's not so big where you can go to every part and like just talk to people and open doors and stuff and try to do that.
Yeah, did you say it's not so big or?
Yeah, it's not so big. So you really don't need a guide if you really had the time to do it. And you probably would find the things to do.
I agree. That was actually going to be part of my closing thoughts, I think, but this I thought the size was perfect. It's
Yeah.
big enough, and like I said, there's things that you might not even discover, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also not so big where it's like just
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really like big, overwhelming games.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before we go into the final thoughts, you mentioned the save time and how long it actually took you.
Yeah.
Maybe the listeners will find it useful to
Okay.
understand how long it took us.
So for me, I kind of remember from saying, so I didn't beat the last boss, which probably takes, a solid 5 minutes. And I did very few, if any, side missions, and my save total was like 6 hours and 33 minutes. So, I played it for much more. But if you don't do any of the side quests, you could probably beat this game even without a guide in about 7 hours.
Yeah, so they tell you your clear time at the end of the game, I think after the credits roll, or
Okay.
maybe it was before, but regardless. So, I have my exact number. It was 8 hours, 44 minutes, and 11 seconds. I did, a fair amount of
Yeah. Side.
content that I didn't need to do. So
Yeah. So that makes sense.
I went back and explored the other, like the earlier runes when I got the jumping boots, the
Mm.
higher jumping boots and everything. So like, I expect it to be a little higher.
I don't have my official time recorded, but I remember double digits. I thought I was over 10 hours.
Wow. Oh my God.
Well, so one
That
other thing, like I never had to grind for Zenny to get upgrades at any point. So like I didn't have to waste any time doing stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mentioned I did do that, and that's never fun, but I will say it goes quicker than at least I thought it would.
yeah.
I think that was like an hour of my time.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Over 10. And that's just your save file, not like how much you actually played. I
That's
grinded
true.
for a
I
very little
didn't
bit.
die that much though, so
All right. Interesting. All right. Should we give final thoughts? Tom, why don't you start us off this time?
Certainly. So yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning, I really think that the game still holds up fine. Minor control issues, but not really anything to that should turn you off of the game. Yeah, so after replaying it, I think it's firmly solidified in my top games of all time list, at least personally. I mean, you're not going to see this game really on, the lists
IGN.
from IGN and the like, but it's really it's really a sleeper. I hope we get some closure to the series because Mega Man Legends 2 also doesn't really wrap things up. Not much of a spoiler. But yeah, so I mean, would love to see Mega Man Legends 3 be coming to life at some point in the future.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Mega Man Legends 3 was supposed to be made for the 3DS at some point and then was canceled. So that's unfortunate, but hopefully it'll be available on the like actual non-handheld consoles at some time in the future. Um, and we'll actually finish the story on like Shenmue 3. So, anyway, back to my final thoughts. Yeah, I really like this game. I think I had a little bit more issues with the controls and cameras than my brothers did here, but I won't let that soil the game as a whole. And I would, if you can get your hands on this, recommend playing it. It is tough. It's not available for many systems. Really didn't seem as popular as I think it should have been. Wish it was more on those lists, but I would recommend it. It's a fun game. It's different, but with a great classic character, and fits very nicely into a spin-off kind of category for us because it's so different than every Mega Man game, but still within a classic sort of RPG adventure genre. So lots of fun. Oh, a good developing story to it. So if you can get your hands on it, give it a shot. Pete?
okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, this is on my list of top games, similar to Tom, and I also thought it held up well. Again, I was a little nervous after not having played it for so long, but I really had fun playing it this time too. I just think everything they did, and maybe it was a little bit by luck, was just spot on and perfect. Like we talked about the size of the map, I thought was perfect. The difficulty, I think, is perfect. There's challenging parts, but it's not so hard where you want to throw the controller either, you know.
I think you can unlock a hard mode once you beat it.
Oh, well, there you go. And just the ability. We talked a little bit more towards the beginning of the episode about there's some ways to different approaches you could take to strategize, whether you want to invest in more health and armor, or you're upgrading your special weapons, or your buster parts. There's all these side quests you could do or not do, and there's actually real rewards for doing them, not just collectibles, but you can power up more. So I highly recommend this for absolutely anyone who plays video games.
All right, there you have it, our review of Mega Man Legends. Be sure to check us out in 2 weeks when we will be discussing the final game of our spin-off category. I'm Anthony, and for Pete and Tom, this has been Brothers in Boss Battles, a video game showdown. Check us out on Instagram, X, Twitch, and YouTube at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Because I said it wrong, here it is again. Bros Boss Battles on any of those platforms. You also make sure to check us out on brothersinbossbattles.com. Until next time, thank you all for listening. We'll see you soon.